Those absolute shills. Those shills. Right, let's talk about the tariffs again. Welcome back, ladies, gents and Pikachus. We are still talking about tariffs from Trump. So let's go through it. And the reason I got to make a second video is there has been a lot of shills making very, very complex, detailed videos presenting only one side of the story and not going through the reasons why this was done. It's just a disservice to people. If you really want to know what you're talking about and have the facts available to make good, discerning decisions, then you need both sides of the story and you need to know the context of why things are happening. Otherwise, you are just a lemming, you're just being told what to think. So let's go through tariffs, why they are a little bit painful and why we are going to have to pay more because of them, but why that is not necessarily a bad thing. So, I'm going to start with a couple of products which I bought in the last 18 months because obviously I saw this coming a long time ago and started stocking up on things so that I could not have to buy them now. Now, I'm not saying I saw tariffs coming, I didn't necessarily know that it was going to be tariffs, but I knew that China's economy was going to fall over and they were going to be caught red-handed with both of their greedy little paws in the cookie jar, and other countries were going to make it expensive for them. That's what I said in my video. I didn't say Trump's tariffs because I didn't know. When I made that video, Biden was the president and I didn't think he was going to do it, but I know that is the way that humanity works as a species. We don't like being stiffed, we don't like being backstabbed, we don't like being stolen from. These are the things that China has been doing to all of us for an extended period of time. So I knew they weren't going to get away with it for much longer. And here we are. So this is an Evercade XP gaming console, right? This is made in China, right? This comes from a British company called Retro Games UK. It's kind of like a Switch. I like it. I prefer it to the Switch, actually. And this was about £110 when I bought it over a year ago, 18 months ago. It came in a box, which you can see behind me, one of these, and it came with 2 games like this. So now, if I bought this again, even though it's 18 months later, it's £110 second hand. So that's the first thing to remember, is I can still get this for the same price as I did if I'm willing to get it on the second hand market. That completely evades all tariffs and any price rises happening now, second hand market. So we know supply and demand is now including second-hand products for electronics and things which may well be tariffed. That's a great thing for me. It means my entire collection is now gone up in value. So I profited from the tariffs. So has anyone who got ready for these like they were told to. So there is a good excuse for me to say I'm enjoying the tariffs already. I can sell all my stuff twice what I paid for it, or 150% of the cost. 18 months later, second-hand. That is what common sense gets you. Profit now if you see things coming. But that's not what I wanted to talk to you about. What I want to say is, this is what came inside the box. You get a console, you get a power supply, and you get 2 of these. And if I bought this new, it would now be nearer to £200. So in 18 months' time, this has gone up in price by roughly 75%. And you think, oh, that's outrageous, it's so expensive now. But the reason it's so expensive is because the company that makes these, Retro Games UK, don't want to move their manufacturing. So the reason that tariff applies to them is not because of a decision that I make. It's not because of a decision made in another country. It's their own business decision to continue to buy from a country which is under tariff. Does that seem like a smart move? Only if you're thinking in the short term. So they obviously think, oh yeah, China told us that America won't keep these tariffs up, so we believe China, we're going to keep buying from them. Stupid decision. These tariffs are not going away. China is more likely to disappear before these tariffs do. So then, if you're an intelligent business owner, you will say, can we make these locally? Well, let's have a look. Paper printed manual. I can make these locally, pennies on the pound. They cost nothing. Plastic polymer box. 3D printed box will be the same as this. I can change this out for a 3D printed box, cost me absolutely nothing, and have it manufactured here. Paper insert. I can literally print that here in this very room and it cost me nothing. So we know this, even though they're saying the price has gone up 80%, oh, it's because of tariffs, which is kind of true. The price increase is because of a tariff to China. The reason they're passing this cost on to you and I, the customer, is laziness and political pressure. It's as simple as that. They could, as we've just gone through, they could make this whole thing here in this country, completely avoid tariffs, export costs, postage costs, shipping costs, employing a foreign legion of slaves in China costs. All those costs would disappear, and they could make this here, and it would cost a couple of quid more. You know, it would cost a marginal amount more. What about these? 3D printed game box, 3D printed wafer. The only part of this which could not be made here is a tiny little SD-RAM chip. You know, it's like a tiny little thing with the actual game software on there and the software programmer who made this game. That's the only part we couldn't make here right now. But then you think, well, do we make any similar products here? In fact, we do. This is a Raspberry Pi 5. Let me show you it. This is from a company called Raspberry Pi Foundation, which is a British company. This entire thing was manufactured here. Even says on it, made in the UK. Right? So if we can make these with quite a small company actually called Raspberry Pi Foundation, who generally supplies educational kit to schools and little project computers like this one. If we can make these without any parts from China, without any interference from China, without any tariffs, and they have on there those tiny little chips, see those black things, this black thing here, they are tiny little SD-RAM chips, SD-ROM chips, which are exactly the same type of thing as you'd find in here, which they decide to buy from China. If we can make these here at a very low cost, which it was, then we can also make these here. No? So why then is Retro Games deciding to go against America and side with China to continue to produce these in China and then saying, oh, it's the fault of tariffs, you have to pay for it, when they could be taking that trade here and making them in the same factory these are made in by the Raspberry Pi Foundation. So what I'm telling you, ladies, gents and Pikachus, Retro Games UK are siding with China politically to punish the American right and Trump by saying the reason you have to pay more is tariffs. And in doing so, they are taking the opportunity away from a British company who are similar to them, called Raspberry Pi Foundation. In other words, what they should do, in my view, is say, rather than pay 175% tariff or whatever the ridiculous thing was for this and then pass that cost on to you and cry about it, rather than doing that, I will reduce the cost to my customer and I will make this in Britain, where my company lives. I will employ British nationals in British factories which already exist making these high quality wafer products. And I will pay them to make these. I will 3D print this. And then I will sell it for a similar amount, these I'm talking about, as they were before. And therefore China gets no benefit, but the customer doesn't have to pay for that. In which case I am supporting local trade. I am boosting the local economy. I am being a good ally to America, who's been giving me free candy for the last 100 years. And I am not supporting a fascist dictatorship in China who uses slaves, who steals IPs and many other things and pollutes the entire world, politically pressures good moral people like us to pay more, and fills our children's head with trash with TikTok. I'm not paying for that anymore. Now I'm buying a wholly owned British company's British made product. I'm paying maybe a couple of quid more, 5 quid more is how much it would cost. So ask yourself, why are they not doing that? Why is the factory which make these not receiving the offer to make these, despite the fact that it would be cheaper for the company and for you, and it would not be supporting China? Let me tell you why. It's because Retro Games UK have a Chinese board member. And that Chinese board member is a Communist Party member, unbeknown to everyone else who buys their games. That one guy is making sure that the Chinese Communist Party are supported by companies in Britain, despite the fact that it's going to drown them in costs they don't deserve to pay, and they are going to be passing on those costs to you and I. Instead of doing the right thing, switching to the Raspberry Pi Foundation's manufacturing in Britain and paying a lot less, and therefore not having to pass that unfair cost on to us. Because they are supporting China politically, despite the fact that it's a fascist dictatorship who uses slave labour and effectively is our enemy, rather than support Trump and have these produced cheaply. It's not just that. There's loads of products I've got here. Memory sticks. These memory sticks are not even a tariff product. Memory sticks, GPUs, graphics cards and main processors are not tariff products. You can buy those just the same cost as you could last year. But these have gone up 175%. The company is Corsair, made in Taiwan. So good quality stuff's coming out of Taiwan, which is a trustworthy company, and they aren't having to pay a tariff because there is stuff coming from China through Taiwan. They use some Taiwan businesses to wash their clone stuff and, avoid paying the tariffs. So even these should not have that tariff on them. So ask yourself, if these don't have tariffs on them, why are they going up 175%? Again, it's because the companies have Chinese board members, Chinese-owned interests, and they are passing their costs for the products that they have tariffs onto you through free market manipulation. They are dishonest, and they are your enemy, and they are making it seem like you are the enemy if you don't keep paying their accelerated costs. And memory chips. All computers have memory chips in them. This has got memory chips on them that were made here. Why are we not having these companies invest and make their manufacturing better rather than bowing the knee to a fascist dictatorship abroad who uses slave labour and destroys the economy, pollutes the whole world? China. Finally, a graphics card. Right? I paid 250 quid for this like 4 years ago, something like that. This now, again, I can find it on the second-hand market for £190. If I was to buy this today, because it come from a Chinese company, it says on it, made in China. Just so I can prove it does actually say that, made in China, see there? This would cost me £400. No one's going to buy this for £400. It's not worth that. There is a better product than this that came out this year, which you should buy. But that product's got a tariff on it. When you buy it, they will tell you, oh yeah, we're accelerating the cost way past £1,000 for the comparable this year's product because of tariffs. But we know there are no tariffs on GPUs. So the conclusion is all of these products should have no tariffs on them, apart from this one, which is from a British company, which can be made here and avoid the tariffs, but they choose not to do it. And this product, which has no tariffs on it, which is produced here, which has not, it hasn't gone up in cost at all. But, and this is the point I want to end on, this is now gone out of stock, so you can't buy them because there just aren't any being made in this country, despite that we can make them. And the reason is China are making clones of this inferior stolen intellectual property clones in a Chinese factory without permission, totally illegally, exporting them here without paying any tariffs, and selling them half the price of this. So understand that. This is a legitimate board from a legitimate company that designed and built this. They made this product up with British engineering. They manufactured this here and sold it cheaply at a great price, despite the fact that they make profit on it. So this is a good product, good company, makes money for the company, makes me happy. I didn't pay too much for it, was made here. Why would they manufacture more of these when you can go on Amazon and you can buy a Chinese clone of this, which is virtually exactly the same, just with inferior marketing and inferior materials and no customer service with a fake Raspberry Pi name on it? Why would they bother investing money making this legitimate good product when most people freely admit they will go and they will buy the Chinese clone? Despite the fact that if it ever goes wrong, there's no customer service. If it ever breaks, there's no refunds. And while they are using it, it is inferior. The product is inferior. It will break down. It will not last, and it may well have viruses, spyware on there, plus it was made by slaves. So why then would you bother making legitimate products when you have someone like China trying to bully their way into every sector of the free market using slaves and criminal business practices? That is the reason why tariffs are there. It's not to make things more difficult for China, although that is the symptom. It is to stop China and others ripping the balls off the free market and preventing fair, ingenious, creative local companies from being able to compete in their own markets with the products they designed and have built here. I want to buy more of these, but I can't because of China. So I am pleased and proud to say 100% I support those tariffs on China. And until the pressure rises on these companies to bring their manufacturing locally, these products are going to disappear. Good quality, local, ingenious products. This was designed in this country. But now the only way I can buy this is buying an inferior Chinese clone. And I don't like that. I want to buy this here so that the money goes into my economy so that people here have employment and get paid and have benefits and have holidays. And if they are mistreated, have a legal basis to fight that and have equal rights. That is what I want to be paying for, not Chinese garbage from slaves, which destroys pollutes the world and destroys the economy. That's why those tariffs exist, why we should all support them. And even though the price is going to go up a little bit because of them on all products, that is fair. The only reason it dipped below market value is because of China artificially conning the market by using slaves, and I disagree with that. We should never support the use of slaves just because we get discounts. That is immoral. So, in conclusion, support local companies, put pressure on companies to bring their manufacturing back here. I've already written to Raspberry Pi, and I've written to the games company that make this, and I've made my case, and I've said I have bought every single one of their products. I've got every single version, every single console, every single game, every product they've ever made I've bought. But I said to them, I'm taking a stand on this. Until you bring your manufacturing back to this country, I'm never buying another thing off you. As long as you keep supplying China and then blaming the tariffs on them, on America, when it's actually them, I will not buy from you. And if enough of us do this and we support our local economies, manufacturing, as was intended by Trump when his team did this, manufacturing will come back into our local economy, meaning our economy will go up, employment will go up, costs will come down, quality will be maintained, and no slaves will be used. Plus, we won't be paying an evil fascist dictatorship like China to stab us in the back. So everybody's a winner, except for them. And then the political pressure is on them to be honest and not stab us in the back, not steal free candy and treat us like idiots, which is what they're currently doing. So that's the end of this video. It's been very long, very detailed, but I really hope you've listened and you picked up what I was putting down. Tariffs are a good thing in the long term, apart from if you're a fascist dictatorship. And yes, the cost is going to go up, but it's fair. We're a rich country buying expensive luxury products. They should cost a little bit more. That is supply and demand in a free market. If you want to go and spend your money on Chinese garbage, it's going to fall apart in 6 months, which you cannot refund, which may well give your hard drives viruses that you can never get rid of, who is made by slaves, and in doing so destroy your own economy. You know what you should do? Move to China, because that's their whole country. That's what they do. However, if you want to maintain a free, equality-driven, rich, luxury product society with laws and good salaries, then buy British or European or American, whichever your local country is, and put a stop to this ridiculous reliance on feudal dictatorships such as communist China. That's the end of this video. I hope you enjoyed that and you learned something. God bless you all, and I'll see you lovely people in the next one. Bye now. And that is why smart people will support these tariffs, because that means they are supporting fair trade, good, equality-driven local economies and not paying for fascist, feudalist dictators. So, that's all for now. God bless you all. Have a lovely day, and I'll see you in the next one. Bye!